Avowed is the biggest copium of the century. I don't know what happened with the whole gaming environment. I mean everyone. Developers, journalists, gamers, independent YouTubers, etc. Me personally, I see a giant elephant in the room, but a lot of people just act like everything is okay. Like that it's fine meme. I have seen this level of copium from journalists and developers as a separate thing. I have seen this level of copium that was completely on the consumer side. But it is the first time on my mind that everyone is breathing copium. And this issue has to be addressed and stopped. What happened shouldn't be normalized. If you are clueless and don't understand what I'm talking about and what happened, I mean that Avowed is an extremely bad game. Objectively like 3 out of 10. If you want to know more why it is such a bad game, I have made an objective video critique of Avowed, so if you lack understanding of the context, you can watch that video. In short, Avowed is a Concord level of flop, but everyone is refusing to accept it. The only difference between Concord flop and Avowed flop is that Concord was just more expensive to make. Now let's look at the arguments on why I think Avowed flopped and everyone is copying. First, let's discuss the copying of Obsidian, the studio that developed Avowed. PC Gamer reports that Obsidian is satisfied with Avowed sales. Quote, "Even after all of that, Avowed released to critical praise and initial sales figures Obsidian is reportedly satisfied with." And that's simply not true, and it's simply copying. The maximum copies sold estimations are around 200,000. The game costs $70. So, by doing simple calculations, we come to the revenue of $14 million. But let's not forget that Epic Games takes 5% for Unreal Engine, and Steam takes 30% as well. So, 14 million minus 35% equals a little more than $9 million. That's how much money Avowed really made. But obviously, Avowed development cost was more than $9 million. Even if Avowed would triple its sales, it wouldn't break even, and it would be a financial failure. But you may say, yeah, that's Obsidian. Of course they're gonna say that their game is fine. It doesn't mean that there is a coping mass hysteria. Well, let's see how a lot of creators and YouTubers reacted to the game. I think we can skip checking out on journalists, because they're always on copium. So, the creators. Just a little disclaimer, I'm not trying to pick up a fight, I'm just arguing these particular statements. Now let's move on.
Means it's a good game. I really enjoyed it. The combat, although a little shallow, still feels fun. If you don't look too much into it, it feels fun.
Loved the side quests, thought the combat was amazing. I enjoyed exploring the map, and I plan on exploring 100% of every player. Now personally speaking, I do think Avowed is worth its price.
All of the most important elements of the RPG genre just click right off the bat.
Avowed does some things really, really well. Like the combat is a lot of fun. The exploration is actually a lot of fun. The writing and stuff is fantastic.
I think the reason for all of those positive and neutral reviews is because the game received positive reviews from gamers. But wait, what is the problem if the gamers like the game? But did they actually? The game has 77% positive reviews on Steam. So let's look. Junk Food RPG. Danish enemy types. Recommended. It's fine, 6 out of 10. Recommended. Played for 3 hours. Posted a positive review on February 19th. Played for 2 more hours. Dropped the game. Played for 3 hours. Posted a positive review on February 18th. Didn't play anymore. Dropped the game. Played for 8 hours. Posted a positive review on February 19th. Played for 2 more hours. Dropped the game. Played for 8 hours. Posted a positive review on February 19th. Played for 2 more hours. Dropped the game. Now, there are also some weird statements that if the game would be released 12 years ago or 15 years ago, it would be a good game. First, no, it wouldn't. Mass Effect 1 was released in 2007, Mass Effect 2 was released in 2010, and Mass Effect 3 was released in 2012. So that premise that if it would be released earlier, it would be a better game, is wrong. No, games were not worse 15 years ago, and Avowed wouldn't be a better game. Well, maybe if it would be released in the 80s, then yes. And second, I don't get where this narrative came from, because the game didn't get released in 2011. It just didn't. So stop acting like it did. And that's why I say that people are also copying. And you may say, it's just a couple of examples, that doesn't prove anything. 77% reviews are still positive, so the gamers like it. So, what do we have in the end? A game that is apparently good or at least okay, that gamers like, YouTubers like, developers like, journalists like. So maybe I'm wrong. Then the game is good. But why nobody wants to play it? For example, the game's current 24-hour peak online is 9,000 people. For reference, that's the online of Stalker 2 right now. Only Stalker 2 was released 3 months ago, not a week ago. No, it all doesn't make sense. There has to be something else. The right answer is that Obsidian is coping because they cover their failures and reputation. Journalists are licking Obsidian's boots because that's what they do. Independent YouTubers are confused because they either don't know how to objectively rate games, or some are just following the positive feedback from the gamers. But you may ask, why are gamers positive about the game if it's such a bad game? I mean, the Steam reviews are 77% positive. This Steam review explained it best. If you like Obsidian games, buy this game. If you like RPGs, wait for when the game will be $20. And if you don't like Obsidian games, avoid this game. I would simplify this statement. If you like Obsidian game, buy this game. If you don't, do not. It actually solves the mystery of 77% positive reviews. So, now we can look at the whole picture. Avowed was released in the shadow of Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, and I think it was the intent to not release the game in free time, so less gamers would notice that the game is actually bad, and only the fans of Obsidian would play it. And it not only worked, but created this weird copium mass hysteria, where the fans of Obsidian liked the game and confused other players and independent creators. The developers took this opportunity to cover for their F-ups, and journalists are just doing what they always do. So that's how that mass hysteria of copium came up to be, where nobody wants to play this game, but there are a lot of positive reviews from all directions. But the most important thing is the lesson that we have to get out of this situation. It is that situations like this have to be addressed and stopped. We shouldn't normalize these studios to get away with bad games. Because it seems to me that only a small group of people are trying to hold Obsidian responsible, and it all can lead to very bad outcome. What outcome? Take a look at this clip.
I think Obsidian, they're able to manage scope really well. And that's been a thing that very few studios are able to do in the 2020 era, where you have a ton of games that are coming out that cost $300 million and will literally never be able to break even. And because they are not making these games into these massive behemoth AAA things, they can afford to have it perform a little less. Like if Avowed cost them $200-300 million to make, and they spent another $100 million on marketing, yeah, it wouldn't work. It would not turn profit. Like there's just no way that could work. But because they keep things tighter in scope, it can work for that. Does that mean that Obsidian is putting out the best games of the year? No. But I think that's the point, is they're not trying to.
So basically Luke is saying that Obsidian is not trying to make best games of the year, and because of that they're able to release games like Avowed, games of lower quality. So, Obsidian releases bad games but charge the full price of $70, and because of that they can release those games. And I don't know why Luke is celebrating this thing, and thinks that it is a good thing, because it is literally fraud. If they would charge $10 or $20 for the game, it wouldn't be such a bad thing. But in this case they would make less money and probably wouldn't be able to make those games. So the only way this scheme can work is by making cheap bad games and post them as high quality for full price. And I have a question. Do we actually need that? Do we need more studios to use this scheme, to do what Obsidian does? I think no. And that's the danger of that copium hysteria. It sets a precedent that this scheme of releasing cheap bad games for full price is okay and profitable. And not only that, but you'll get also positive reviews. And that's it for this topic. I'm gonna ask you to not cope with bad games, and to spread the word by sharing this video, liking, commenting and subscribing to the channel. I make videos on a broad variety of video game topics. For example, an objective Avowed critique, or a discussion on why Skyrim is still popular, or a video on everything we know so far about The Witcher 4, and many more. So subscribe. I'm sure that you'll find something to your liking. See you later.